Every town has a place people avoid. Not because it's dangerous. Not because it's abandoned. But because something about it feels wrong. In the small mountain town of Ashwood, Colorado, that place was 124 Willow Street. The house had stood there since 1918. 5 different families had owned it. None stayed longer than a year. Some claimed the pipes whispered at night. Others heard footsteps beneath the basement floor. The official explanation was always the same. Old house. Settling noises. Then, in the spring of 2024, Daniel Harper bought it. He thought he'd gotten the deal of a lifetime. He had no idea the house had been waiting for someone to listen. Daniel was 34, recently divorced, and desperate for a fresh start. The Victorian house was surprisingly cheap. Too cheap. The real estate agent avoided eye contact whenever he asked why. It just has a history. What kind of history? She forced a smile. The neighbors can tell you better than I can. Daniel laughed. Haunted? She didn't answer. The neighbors were friendly enough. Except whenever the basement came up. One elderly woman named Martha lived across the street. On Daniel's first evening, she walked over with a homemade pie. As she handed it to him, she said quietly, "Whatever you do, don't dig beneath the basement." Daniel chuckled. "I wasn't planning on it. I mean it." Her smile vanished. "If you ever hear someone asking for help, don't answer." For nearly 2 weeks, life was peaceful. The house creaked. The pipes groaned. Nothing unusual. Then one rainy night, around 2:40 a.m., Daniel woke to a faint sound. "Hello." He sat upright. The voice was soft. Almost impossible to hear. "Can anybody hear me?" It sounded like someone speaking through thick concrete. He searched every room. Nothing. The voice came again. "Please. I'm trapped." This time, he knew where it came from. The basement. The basement was unfinished. Concrete walls. Wooden support beams. One flickering light bulb. Nothing else. The voice had stopped. Daniel searched every corner. No one. As he climbed the stairs, he heard it again. Directly beneath his feet. "Don't leave me." He froze. The voice wasn't inside the basement. It was coming from underneath it. The following night Daniel placed a digital recorder on the basement floor. He left it running until morning. When he played it back, hours of silence passed. Then, at exactly 3:03 a.m., a whisper appeared. Not one voice. Dozens. Speaking over one another. Most were impossible to understand. Except one. "He's almost listening." Daniel replayed it 5 times. Every time, another sentence became clearer. "Don't let him open it." Unable to ignore his curiosity, Daniel began examining the basement floor. One concrete slab sounded different when tapped. Hollow. He borrowed a hammer drill. As the concrete cracked apart, he uncovered a rusted iron hatch. There was no handle. Only strange symbols carved into the metal. Before he could inspect them further, someone knocked on the front door. It was Martha. She looked terrified. "You opened it." Daniel frowned. "I only found a hatch." "You shouldn't have." "What's under there?" She whispered. "No one knows. Because no one who opens it ever comes back the same." That night the whispers returned. Only now the voice sounded familiar. It was his ex-wife. "Daniel. I'm sorry. Please help me." His heart pounded. He knew it couldn't be her. She lived hundreds of miles away. Still. The voice knew things only she could know. Private conversations. Childhood memories. Secrets no stranger should know. Then another voice replaced hers. His late father. Son. I'm down here. Please. Daniel backed away from the basement door. The voices laughed. Curiosity defeated fear. At sunrise Daniel pried the hatch open. A ladder disappeared into darkness. The air smelled damp and rotten. He climbed down. The tunnel beneath the house wasn't natural. Its walls were carved from stone older than the foundation itself. The passage stretched deep beneath the neighborhood. There were doors on both sides, each sealed with heavy iron locks. Behind every door, someone whispered. Thousands of voices echoed through the darkness. Some cried. Some begged. Some simply repeated one sentence. Don't let it hear you. At the end of the tunnel stood an enormous circular chamber. In its center was a stone well. No water. Only endless darkness. The whispers came from inside. Daniel shined his flashlight into the opening. The light never reached the bottom. Instead, something far below looked back. Two enormous eyes opened in the darkness. Then a voice unlike any he'd heard before spoke. Not through his ears. Inside his mind. Thank you for opening the door. Daniel stumbled backward. The walls began trembling. Dust rained from the ceiling. The whispering behind the locked doors became frantic. Run. It's awake. Close the hatch. The thing in the well laughed. A deep, ancient sound that seemed to shake the earth itself. I have waited beneath this town since before your people built their first homes. Every house above me is only another lock. Every basement is another door. Daniel realized the horrifying truth. The houses hadn't been built over empty ground. They had been built to keep something buried. He sprinted back through the tunnel. Behind him came the sound of something climbing. Not quickly. Slowly. Patiently. Each movement echoed like enormous claws scraping stone. He reached the ladder. Climbed into the basement. And slammed the iron hatch shut. The instant it closed, everything became silent. The whispers disappeared. The house stopped creaking. The air felt normal again. Daniel poured concrete over the hatch that same day. Then he sold the house 3 weeks later. He never told the buyers what lay beneath. He simply wanted to forget. 6 months later, Daniel was living in another state when he received a phone call. The new owner introduced herself. I'm sorry to bother you. I think there's something wrong with the basement. Daniel's blood ran cold. What do you mean? There was a long silence. Then she whispered. Every night, I hear someone calling my name from beneath the floor. The call suddenly filled with static. A second voice emerged. Deep. Calm. Patient. Tell him, thank you for opening the first door. The line went dead. Daniel never answered another call from that number. But sometimes, late at night, when his new house is completely silent, he wakes to the faint sound of someone knocking. Not at the front door. From beneath the basement floor.